Hey, this is Sir Charles Carey. I want you to join me on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. for the Tru-Mu Podcast, True Music. That's where we talk about all things.
I'm a musician, singer-songwriter, producer, engineer.
All things creative.
Me and my co-host, Carl T. Smith, the smooth one, will be glad to hear you, glad to talk to you, answer your questions, and talk all things music. The Tru-Mu Podcast, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Be part of the energy.
I can see that thing that makes men stop, stand still, all in denial, suffer loss of will.
Hey, Sir Charles Carey and Carl T. Smith, the smooth one. How y'all doing today, folks? This is the Tru-Mu Podcast where we talk about all things creative, all things innovative, just like in the arts and business, it takes creativity many a time. And so there's pretty much no topic that's out of reach or out of our realm. We've had speakers and artists and rappers and sound men and musicians. A little bit of everyone has shared their gift here on this platform with us. And today is no different. Except we are they, and they are we. So today we're talking about what they don't know. And when I say what they don't know, is like when you are a musician, producer, whatever, there's a lot of people that are not in your industry. They really don't know the behind the scenes. Now, we talked about gigs last week. We have talked about some of these topics in general, but I'm going to ask you, Carl, when you were young, I'm sure your perspective was different because
When I was young?
I mean, when you were younger, how about that?
All right.
I think we all have illusions of grandeur or just we don't know what we don't know. And we go into the music business wanting to be flashy and have fun and blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing wrong with that. But after your indoctrination, and you've been burned and you've learned, what was your view on the industry as a whole, after the younger version of you and the current version of you? What's your view of the industry?
Well, like you said, it was in the early days, you're thinking fame and fortune, and you're thinking all the perks and stuff that you think everybody else got, you know what I'm saying? But then reality sets in and it's a business. Yeah. And it's about numbers, and it's about numbers, and it's about people and fans and all kind of stuff that really, especially these days, that really isn't focused on talent as much as I thought. I didn't think it. I thought it was more talent. I can do whatever. I can do magic and flip and do all this other stuff like that, and they're gonna love me. No,
right?
No, and I'll be doing big concerts and all this other stuff.
Oh yeah,
and,
definitely.
It's about numbers. It's about numbers and followers and fans and friends and all that other stuff.
I can remember myself, like they were talking about other musicians. Yeah, man, we need a PA system. We need this. And I was like, wow, PA system. I want to have a PA system, right? Now, at the time, I didn't know. I mean, I knew what a PA system was, but I didn't realize that everybody can plug into this thing and we can all do music like that. But then again, professionally, there should be a mixing board where all the speakers are connected to the mixing board and the engineer would EQ everything. I didn't know. And the first time I got a chance to get some equipment, some really professional equipment, was by chance, man. I remember walking down Walton Avenue and this guy had this big Earth speaker with two 15s in it. And I think all
Earth?
he wanted was, yeah, remember Earth, right?
Earth,
And I think all
Earth
he wanted
Flush.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, custom, right? All those things. I
Custom,
think all he
yeah.
wanted was $15 for it. And I was like, really? And I bought it from him. And then I think it had I don't think I know. He had a custom head. And I was like, whoa, we've arrived. So it was like, man, I got to take my equipment back and forth to rehearsal. And then Ron, your cousin, was like, yo, man, you could just leave it here at the house when we have rehearsal. I was like, okay. And I was down with it because I know I didn't want to travel back and forth with it. I mean, I knew he would use it during the week, but I didn't care about that, because it was for the band. We were committed, and that was one thing. We were actually committed, but the first time I had a chance to really get something that meant something to me and that meant something for the band, I was all over it. And we was just so excited. And, the other guys had some of their own speakers and stuff, but anytime it was possible, they was like, yo, man, can I plug into the Earth? And they would plug in and we would just jam, but we still had no idea about EQ or nothing. So I think that's one of the things that people don't know how important it is to have gear, have equipment, credible, durable equipment, and knowing how to use it more importantly, because I really didn't know how to use it, to be honest with you. I just plugged in and I was glad I had reverb, and I go, hey, yeah. I wanted the sound effects and all that.
You could turn it up.
Turn it up. I didn't have to sing over the musicians for a change, unless we was doing a gig outside, so. But, equipment is one of the things I think those that come to see bands and musicians and go to clubs, they don't realize what goes into being a musician other than, you sing or you play your instrument, but having gear, I think that was a really important, I know it was a really important part of being in the music industry, even for a beginner. You got to have something to start with, and I can remember the drummer, Louis, we had a, chinchy drum set. And he was like, man, this set is like, it's all right. But so one day we went downtown. We went down on 40th Street. We went down to a lot of the music stores and he got some Zildjian skins. And then he felt so much better about himself as a drummer, and he got some cymbals, he got some nice skins and he got some Zildjian cymbals. And it was like, whoa, okay. And again, it goes back to equipment. People don't realize, what people don't know is that you got to have the right stuff to work with, and that in itself was an education. When did you start shopping for equipment and stuff yourself?
Oh, that was really early on, because I used to sit in with groups and bands and things like that. And in the early days, because I learned and I was playing on the piano, and my boy Kevin, invited me to come hang out with his band. But I didn't have a keyboard, I played. I wouldn't touch a keyboard. I play piano. I'm a pianist. I play piano. I don't play no keyboards. Right. And then I had to break down. I was playing with a group, and the guy had an organ, and I used to keep the organ in the trunk of my car. And then after a while, I was like, all right, I gave him back his organ, and I had to get something. So I got me a portable Elka. It was an Elka. They used to have what was that? Sound City used to have a piano that was popular with a lot of the guys back in the day when the I think it's Sound City. It was a black keyboard. But I got an Elka. It was a wooden kind of thing. And then that was the first, I'd say the first thing that I purchased, starting to be able to play outside and play with people and the equipment and all that other stuff like that. That was the first one I
88
got.
keys.
Oh no, this thing was flimsy plastic. Might have been
48 or something.
Might have been 60, 64 or something like that. It wasn't long. It wasn't that it was portable keyboard
61
kind of
key,
thing.
48 key, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a narrow, really narrow, didn't have much to it. Sound like a toy. But I played that sucker as much as I could and played it all over the place.
Look, it didn't sound like a toy back then.
No, back then it was what was like the new technology, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now, having been a fan of different, recording artists, how was it when you became an artist yourself? Did you deal with fans the same, or look at people that were fans of music the same, or fans of yours the same? How did you make the transition from being a fan to having fans?
I don't know if I got any fans, but there's some people who like the stuff I do. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
those jokers. Yeah,
like the stuff I do. Well, I think I got in. I ended up becoming an artist because I was always doing like productions and doing stuff like, as you were saying, about people rehearsing and equipment and things like that.
Right.
I would get everybody to come up to the house, and I had two. Matter of fact, I still think I got one of them. I had two small tape recorders, and I would dub tapes and whatever, and we sit we'd be playing in my living room, and trying to make some tapes because we're gonna go down and get a record deal, and we take them little crappy tapes. We take those little crappy tapes down. Well, Kevin and I would take them tapes down there and go to CBS and go to Arista and go to all those spots and try to drop off tapes, but they wouldn't take them. So, since you don't want to take my tapes, I'll make my own, so I started making some of them cassettes from, the bands that we were playing and Magic Mark on them, and gave them out, to people. They probably used those for coasters or something.
I tell you, I remember one of the first times, because I submitted a lot of tapes. I got a response from one record company. Wow. And even though they rejected me, I was so excited because I think I got it around here somewhere. They were letting me down, but I didn't know what a format letter was. They gave me the format no, but it had that logo on it. And I was like, oh, wow, they replied. I opened it up and they said, thank you for your submission, but this is not what we're looking for. Or we're not accepting artists at this time. Something like that. I don't know. Yeah. The generic no. And I was just like so excited. I think it was Arista Asylum or something like that, or Polydor, one of them labels, whatever it was. But yeah, man, I was like, oh wow, because what I realized, honestly, out of the thousands and thousands of artists trying to get a deal, trying to get recognition, how many artists didn't even receive those? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't even take ours. So you did better than I,
that time,
I ended up, going around and running into a guy who had an independent label.
Okay.
And began dealing with that and ended up signing, to him and was doing the production for that. And that was the first label deal, that I got.
Okay.
And we thought we was on our way.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no doubt.
We were on our way, we doing all this production and all this other stuff. And in the studio, Right Track was on 24th Street before they was on 48th Street. And we was
Okay.
in that bad boy just about every week.
Every time you get a chance, huh?
No, well, that's the guy. He had all these projects that he was working on, and we were producing it and arranging and doing all this other stuff. So that's kind of where And then what happened is I've always been working on something or trying to make something happen. So I would book these things or set up these things that would always have opportunities come, and I would set these things up and people wouldn't show, and time was being paid for. So as we sit there and waste time, was like, well, okay, go in there and start singing the song. It's go in there, and that's how I ended up becoming an artist.
Wow. I remember submitting also to Star Search.
Oh, really?
When it first came out. I think Ed McMahon was either the MC or the host or whatever it was. And they told me I got a form letter, got a response. And what I'm even realizing, even at this stage, is that no matter what it is, what industry, doesn't matter. You just have to keep on stroking. I mean, I know that theoretically, but sometimes you just you get tired, you get beaten down, you get worn. But they sent me a response saying, thank you for your submission. Your sound's too urban for us. And this was in the
too urban. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think this is in the mid to late 80s, because I was recording with this guy named Julian Green. Julian, we had contracts. We was recording. It was in early ages of digital, and we got a lot of songs. In fact, I've taken some of those lyrics off of some of the songs and applied them to songs that I've done since then, and it was like a perfect fit. Now I probably should take some of the other lyrics, because those demos or those songs, the good lyrics, they're just gonna die, and they'll never be used. But yeah, Star Search was like, your sound is too urban. I guess they wanted that pop, you give good love, Whitney Houston type sound, so whatever, but it's all good. So takes me to my next question. I mean, we've gone through different things, but what do you think are things that people don't know, I guess from a fan perspective, that really help us out, when you're performing? What do fans do, or what can they do?
I mean, there's so many things that can be done. Well, first of all, when you say support, most people think that you're going after their money.
Okay.
But support, bigger support is the likes, especially now, in the industry and the way it is now. All your likes and your subscribes and all that other stuff is means a lot, to especially to an artist, and especially to an independent artist, because it's about numbers, and it's about how many people are interested in your project, or interested in your you as an artist. So and then if showing up at events, showing up at shows, that's a big thing. I don't think most because when most people think it's only 2 hours to set up for a show.
Okay.
I don't think they realize how many hours it takes to set up for those 2 hours, and how many hours it takes to break down from those. And we do it all for them, all for the fans. I do anyway.
Yeah.
I get there, especially if I'm doing the event. I'm, at one of the places, I'm there at 9 a.m. and setting up all day, lights and everything. And then the show is an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. And then the next 4 hours breaking down.
Oh
So,
man, yeah.
If showing up and stuff like that would mean a
But
whole
at the
lot.
same time, what are some of the things that you think, from your experience, obviously, that hurts, your performance, or that takes away,
Well, some of the things is that hurts the performance. I mean,
Yeah.
basically being exhausted after setting up, and getting everything prepared.
I mean, like from the fans, like what is it that fans do that makes or contributes to a bad performance? How it impacts you, the artist.
Well, you're frozen, right?
No, I didn't realize that. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Uh-huh. You know what? I mean, well, okay, here we go. So I do a lot of love songs and songs that require, well, it doesn't require anything, but it would um, how would you say, um, be nice, getting reaction from the song, and what I notice with some of the stuff, with today's audience, because back
Yeah.
in the day they would tell you you'd have to sing to the audience, they had to feel it and all this other stuff. But today it seems to be a little different. Today it seems to be people are uncomfortable when
Okay.
you sing your song to them or at them or whatever, no sliding across the stage like David Ruffin, and
Oh, like
grabbing the
Leon
mic,
5 heartbeats.
like Leon and them, yeah, like Leon, none of that stuff. If you do that, then they get kind of funny and stuff like that. And I still haven't figured out why.
Well, that's weird because
but
I have kind of like the opposite reaction, but I think the things from my experience that help obviously is when the crowd can get into it, which is why I try to have kind of like a multifaceted act, meaning, live band like yourself. I had a live band, but I try to play, if I can, play off of the musicians, have other vocalists that either support the set that I'm doing, the other songs. For those of you that don't know what a set is the period of time that the band or the artist is performing a number of songs. But so I try to be able to show the diversity to keep the audience engaged and to actually engage them. So going to the negative side, things that I think take away or can take away from my performances or live performances is when they are not, like you say, responsive. I think that I remember this when before I moved in this area, and I was still living in New York, of course, and I would come down here for shows. It was like they would look and sit there like, impress me. And I'm like, first of all, by me being from New York, that should impress you, first of all. But but it was kind of wild. But now for me, it's different. I kind of get a different reaction, but I try to calculate that. Again, playing off the musicians, playing off the audience, talking to the audience, and mixing up the songs where it's not just one particular tempo, it's different tempos, fast, slow, whatever, mid-tempo, and making it different for their stimuli, because I know that if there's a monotone sound, whatever it is, regardless of the song, that's not going to move them. But if it's moves up, down, lowers, or I'm able to do something with them, I get a different reaction. But I don't think they realize that. they're just being themselves, which, you know, I guess that's what they're supposed to do. But they don't realize that, hey, help us out. If we say, how y'all doing? Yeah. You know, get off the stage, say something. I can do better than you. Yo, in fact, you know, one time, it's funny. I got these two girls backing me up, and there's a guy, and he was drinking, and we ready to do a song.
He was drinking.
They were, you know, and then he goes, man, why don't you let them girls sing? And I'm like, I looked at the guy, I said, they are. And I just kept on going, you know, with a smile. And one of my friends that was there said, man, you should have told him to shut up. I said, well, I couldn't do that, but you know, people are people, but at least that was some engagement. But the moment he said that, somebody in the back was like, yo, man, sing that song, man. I said, my man. So I catered to the guy that gave me positive energy versus the guy that was, and I don't think he wanted to heckle me, but you know, everybody likes what they like, which is fine, you know.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
You know, so but yeah.
Yeah. Everybody, you can't please everybody. You know, sometimes you go out, you got 10 people in the audience, and 9 of them is with you, and then there's one that just don't like what you do.
Yep.
Nothing you can do about that.
Have you ever in a performance gone out to someone, you know, to engage them in the crowd, and they be like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have went to this person. Give me my mic back, you know, because they were really stealing the show or something. Okay.
Oh no,
how did you?
No.
Okay.
I didn't. I've never had that, but I've had it the other way around.
Oh goodness.
We went to an event in Queens, and it was the Shy Lights.
Okay.
And they were calling up people up on, Marshall would call up people up on the stage and whatever. And I'm standing there with some other people, and they gave the guys the mic, you know, give people the mic to sing. I think, what was the song? It was, what was that song? I think it was Have You Seen Her? I don't remember which one it was. And they passed the mic, and he gave me the mic, and I started singing, and the crowd responded, and he came and snatched the mic real quick.
From you?
From me, yeah. He snatched the mic real quick.
Snap.
He gave it back, but he snatched it. It was cool. It was cool. He snatched the mic real quick, and then he gave it back. And then so it's, you know, it was the other way around. But I haven't had that yet. I think the next time I perform, I just got to make sure that you're nowhere near the stage so that you don't do it to me.
No, you look, I would never set nobody up because first of all, I'm still old school. I believe you treat people the way you want to be treated. And number two, unless we have it staged to do that, to get a reaction, you know, I'm all in for stage interactions. Like when we did the show with MPK, you came out from changing clothes and you was acting up and stuff like that. I mean, it was impromptu, but I enjoyed it, you know. Hey, you know, so I think that stuff is fun. But what I'm gonna say, what's the difference between a cover band and a band that's doing their own material?
The difference between a cover band and a band that's doing, well, a cover band is usually a lot easier for the audience to digest, you know, because they know the song and they can sing along and all that other stuff like that. Usually with most cover bands and stuff like that, and what they call now reviews, they're doing songs that everybody pretty much know. They become a group or whatever the case may be that everybody knows. The original artist is after the cover band or after the other bands finish. Most of the time, people go back and listen to the original artist do the songs. You know,
You promise?
they don't have it. They
you
do.
promise?
They do. You know, because well, you don't have those people that are performing those you know, those things, those songs.
Right.
They don't have they don't have any recordings or anything of the songs that they're doing. So, you know, if I want to listen to a cover, I go back to the artist, you know. The original stuff.
Artist. Yeah, I got you.
Right, the original artist. Now, the the performer that's performing his own stuff, you develop your own crowd, you develop your own, and when the stuff is over, people research you and hear your stuff that you delivered. Not only do they hear your stuff that you delivered, but in order to hear it, they have to follow you.
Right. And for those that don't know, we're talking about things that people that are not in the music business don't normally know. So we're kind of like unpacking some things that you want to happen, things that don't happen, or things that do happen. And the fact that the general audience, most people in your performance halls, clubs, and so forth, they don't know these things. So a cover band is a band that does material that has been recorded normally by a more known artist or a recording artist. And of course, in the original band, they're playing their own material. And some bands that do original material, they play music in between. They play covers in between their originals so that the audience has something that's recognizable and they can still serve both sides of the house. Yeah, I know.
And the thing that I don't think they realize is that the known artists, when they do their songs, those are original songs. So, you know, they pretty much, it's just that they get a little head start because they already known. You know, people are already familiar with them. But when they come out with a new album, it's an original, you know, it's an original song, you know. So.
Right. You've never heard it, but it started out as an unknown song, unknown music, and yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So going back to the other question, what would help an artist is if you can lend yourself to letting a musician or band share their gift with you, and you never know, it may appeal to you because, like you said, when people came down from New York to Maryland, they heard songs from my set that they liked, and I made sure to go back to New York when I performed in New York with you on your show. I made sure to go to New York and perform some of those songs to expose them there as well. So it's always important that you have an opportunity of sharing your original gifts. Now, what do you need? You know, again, because I know people don't know this in the music business. As an artist, what do you need when you're going to do a show? Or is there anything you need? Like, I know some people, and I know I did it when I was younger. Some people, they need a couple of drinks, drink a wine, shot, smoke a cigarette, or other stuff. You know, is there anything that you need like before your performance?
Just a second, just some quiet time for 1 minute. You know, because usually it's a hectic day and you're running around and you're doing all the stuff to set up for that show, you know, that we do for the audience, you know. Right. So you know, you need maybe a minute or so to relax and take it easy for a minute because you're already wound up and stuff. So, you know,
that's tough, man.
A little bit of time.
I need a minute, but there's sometimes where I don't need too much time because I don't need nothing written space in my head. You know, too much peace. Then you start thinking, okay, what songs is next? Oh, do I remember all the words? Oh, is everybody here? Oh, how are we doing this song? Are we gonna do it like a medley? Oh, do we do it? You know, sometimes too much time is not good for me. It's not good, but at the same time, I definitely appreciate having a break to get away from chitter chatter or whatever, because you're like myself, or we're like a lot alike, meaning that when we're doing shows, if it's our own production, we're doing all the back end stuff, the business part, set up, not literally everything, but a lot of it. So we're focused on making sure the people are comfortable. We're not ignoring people that we know that come to see the show. Making sure we got our right clothes, the lighting is right. If we're going to have it filmed, the film people are there, the sound is right, the other artists. It's a lot that goes into it that people don't really understand, and it can be exhausting. And that's before the first song is even played.
That's before the doors open up. Not the first song, the doors open. Before the doors open. And even if you're not doing, let's say you're producing the show. Even if you're on someone else's show, there's a lot that go on before the doors open, or a lot that goes on before you hit the stage.
Yeah, so, there's still a measure of that same kinetic energy or frustrated energy, because it's still, hey man, can you help me put this table up? Oh snap! Okay, I wasn't planning on doing that, but okay, or whatever it may be, or the fact that, hey man, these people said that their tickets was paid for. I don't know nothing about that. Things happen, but again, once you've I guess have been doing this for a while, you see a little bit of so many different scenarios, and I get it. I really do get it. I get it. And but I guess we should all have our own personal shrinks, because the good, the bad, and the indifferent, we still, allow ourselves to go for it. I tell you, man, it's amazing. I tell you. So
yeah.
And I know that when I was younger, one of the biggest challenges I had, I was the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So I was trying to do everything. I couldn't wait to do the show, but I wanted to party at the same time, not realizing that some of those things were really taking from me. But because I was young, to drink or smoke or whatever the case may be, I didn't realize it, because you got these young tender vittles, your throat is durable, you can sing and hold the note long, and you figure it don't hurt nothing, but actually it can be intrusive, because I remember watching the Rat Pack and those old groups, Standards, and they be on stage. It's not unusual to be mad with cigarette in hand, suit and tuxedo, microphone, looking all cool, or at least it appeared to look cool, or I did it my way, whatever the song was. But the point was, they had bad habits, which those were social norms back then.
So yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. I thought it was okay to do some of those things. Some things I knew were wrong, but it's always okay to make an excuse when you can. Man,
but it was part of the industry, part of the performance.
Yeah, the whole image.
Gotta have a cigarette and whatever. Yeah, no.
Gotta have a cigarette. Gotta have a drink. You want to come across as what are the consummate professional and whatever, man. I tell you. But as we move forward, we hear a lot of artists, and they tell you the truth. There's so many artists now. I have no idea who these people are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No idea. I mean, maybe the top 5%, or maybe say top 15%. And out of the 15%, 5% have been around for a while now, and the other 10%, I heard the name Sexy Red, but I don't know who she is. I know Money Long. I know Tyrese. I know Jay-Z, and some Anthony Hamilton. Jill Scott, but there's a ton of other artists which I have no idea who the heck they are. And if it's hip hop, good for you, but I don't know you, and I don't buy music like that anymore.
Well, nobody buys music like that anymore,
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother a whole nother conversation. You know, it's where you used to sell vinyl or you sell CDs, cassettes and CDs. You know, they had a physical copy. Now it's not even, you don't get a physical copy. Everything is streaming or downloads.
It's kind of wild. Because I know I will buy certain things like trying to think I bought a lot of tracks so that when I have to do a performance, if I don't have a band, I can still do a performance. But I will buy certain artists, whether it's what's his name, Orlando, whatever his name is, I don't know his name. The guy that sounds like Marvin Gaye. I might
London,
like that out. Yeah, London
or something like that.
October London. Yeah.
October London, yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking about naming myself Paris Smith, but I'll buy songs that I really like, just because I don't want to rely on streaming. The internet goes down, I still have it. If I really like the song, like when Tyrese came out with that song Shame, man, I still like that. I think that's just a powerful song. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but yeah, I bought that. That was a couple of years ago.
So do you buy them to support the artist, or you buy them to add to your collection?
Man, later for the artists. I'm buying it for me. No. No, obviously they will benefit from it, but I like the artist. I like Tyrese.
Support the artist. Okay.
Yeah, supporting the artist, but I really like the song.
Right.
And that's why, it's funny about my career, because growing up in the era that we grew up in, Motown and all that stuff, I like Motown, but I really like, if I could sing the song, I like the song. If I couldn't sing the song, I might listen to it, but it's like, okay, but I really like the songs that I knew I could sing. And that's kind of a jaded way of being, but hey, I cop to it. If I couldn't sing it, hey.
Well, that's where the industry went. It went from singers singing stuff to sing-alongs. And that's one of the big things about most music is most hits are sing-alongs. The chorus just loops over and over. You say the same thing, and it's easy to say or easy to sing. And
but see, still thinking about the era that we came up with and the caliber of musicians and compositions and orchestration that was around when we came up, that really appealed to my inner sensitivities as an artist, as a music lover. For example, when you think about, I don't know, I'll ask you later, but one of my favorite songs in the world is I Write the Song by Earth, Wind & Fire. When you hear how the song comes on, it lends itself to the compositions of Bear Sager Bear. It lends itself to some of the greats, Basie and all these guys. And I mean, there's so many, I can't even think of their names, that composed music where the strings just make the song come alive, or the strings made you cry, So when you hear even Man in the Mirror, or what's the song that Michael Jackson did, Lady in My Life, the way the song was arranged and composed, it's like, wow, it really hit. I don't think we got songs like that too much today. Not too much.
Well, yeah, because those songs are those type of things don't rise to the top. It's about sing-alongs, things have became simpler. Simplicity is the way in the industry, and you do some sing-alongs. I like productions. That's probably one of my biggest problems is that I'll do productions, and have all these things going on and stuff like that.
Right.
because that's what I like to hear. That's what I grew up on, and that's what I like. Uh, I like to do. I like to produce and stuff like that. But it's all about sing-alongs and simplicity. You three instruments, which would be drums and two other sound effects or whatever, and something, la da dee, la da da, repeated over and over again. It's a hit.
Yeah, I think I do believe that less can be more. But sometimes I have to remember, even when I'm writing a song, for example, you don't always have to have 3-part harmony, Charles. Try just like just
Yeah,
try just try 2-part harmony, or try an octave over the lead.
yeah. I wish I get the memo. I don't.
It's hard, man. It's hard because and then when I listen to it first, I'm like, okay, sounds good. Then if I sit too long, I'm like, well, what would it sound like if I and here comes the problem. The old school sets in. So
I have the record that was released without me knowing, without my permission. The record that was released.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah,
was unfinished.
Okay.
Wasn't even. It was like we did the work. I had to go out of town, and then and then I called. I don't know how I got in contact with Kevin, or Kevin called me or whatever to let me know that there was records out. And I'm like, records out? What are you talking about? It's not finished. But even today, when I listen to it, now there are people all over the world listening to that record, "Come Back Lover," loving it, calling it a funk classic.
Okay.
To me, it's empty. To me. So I redid it. I'm going to drop it out again because I got it cluttered with all kind of stuff and background and harmonies and all that other stuff like that for people like me who might like that kind of stuff. And if you like simplicity, do Come Back.
That's a good problem to have.
Well,
that's a good problem to have, man. I tell you.
So it's all about sing-alongs and repetitiveness and stuff like that. And I used to sit and write on a staff, write melodies and all that other stuff. Well,
and the thing is,
none of them will go.
Like You're Sexy, for example. I'll use that song. I like it. I think it's a good song. It's marketable, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But I probably would have liked to add more to it, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But I said, oh, wow, this is catchy. Sing along, right? This is catchy. Let me just leave it like it is because it's catchy. And if I add more to it, that may take the catchiness away from it. Mm-hmm. So when I talked about strings and the horn section, all that kind of stuff, if you can't get in within a 3-minute time frame, it don't belong in for today's sound.
Wish I get the memo.
If you have to modify the structure of the song, even if it is within 3 minutes, it's like, do you really want to do that? Don't you just want to leave it alone? And the answer is no, I don't want to leave it alone, but that's what's marketable today.
Yeah, what I've learned to do was I have to get it out my system. So I do everything that I can. And then I strip it down, and then I start I start all over, and I'll put stuff in until I go, okay, that's enough. It sounds decent and whatever, and then I use the rest of the stuff for remixes. And that's how I can get it out my system. I put it all on there to the point where it destroys it. I know it's destroyed. It's not. I'm not feeling it the way I used to. The way that I was doing it before. And then when I get to that point, I'm like, okay, got it all out. Now strip it down to bare minimum again, and just add in a little of this, add in a little of that, and then I'll stop.
Yeah, man.
I'll try to stop. It ain't happening though. I try.
Yeah, I tell you, it's very interesting. Very interesting, man. Very interesting. So finally, why do some bands make it and others don't, or some artists make it and others don't?
Why do some artists make it and others don't?
As
What
far
I'm
as in the
what I'm
business overall.
what I'm just learning, out of all this time and doing stuff, and I understand how to make something happen, how to make it work. Um, my only problem is that in order to make anything work, it involves it involves other people. Like if I was able to multiply and do all the stuff, it would be done. It's
Right.
really not hard to do it, to make it. But what these days it's a lot less. It's a lot less about music and connection. It's about connections. It's about um, it's just like what I had to learn was people don't come to your event, and I won't go to your event, or I don't come down to do a stuff because I come down because I have some fans or friends or whatever that's there, but I come because of them. Just like they don't come to a show or anything like that without someone bringing them. They're not coming by themselves. They're not discovering it that way anymore. What it is I got a friend that's taking us down to see Sir Charles Carey, or just like you was talking about, You're Sexy. They was coming down to support me. They heard your song.
Right.
Now they come down. They'll come to support me and you at an event. And if you can get that momentum that going that way, it's not that hard. It's hard to get somebody to listen to you or to pay attention to you off the cuff, out of the blue.
Well, I think that, just like you have a show, a performance that's, that's just theatrics, I think that's a big part of standing out these days. Just like if you were to go see Tank, Genuine, and Tyrese, right? Now they come out there, they're three separate artists, but they got this group TGT, right? And they come out there and they recorded some songs together. So they come out there and the crowd goes crazy because they get to see Tank and Genuine, Pony, that's Genuine song, and Tank and Tyrese. So they go out there, they got the leather, all this shiny stuff on, they looking good. How y'all doing? Right? So they come out there and the girls is going crazy and the music is playing. And then the way they interact with each other is like, nah, man, I'm gonna do my stuff, man. Man, look, man, let's just get through this. So they're talking to each other. It's all part of the show, but it makes the crowd like wonder what's next. Who's gonna? Oh wow, is he gonna do his? Oh, he gonna do his? Oh, they're gonna do that song they recorded together first. Then they start breaking off, and one may go out and sing something from one of their biggest hits or popular songs, and then another one comes from behind stage to talk and mess with them. And before you know it, they're interacting with each other as well as the audience. So there's some theatrics that goes into the entire show. Then you got the big TGT in the background, their letters for their names, all that kind of stuff. So it's an actual full show. And I was just telling my drummer today, we're going to start doing more originals. And not only that, there's going to be more theatrics. I'm talking about the way I engage the audience, the way I even engage them. And I don't want to just come out there, sing a song, sing the next song. Before you know it, that set is done. We take a break, we come back and repeat. Nah, I want them to go like, nah, I want to see Soul City Collective. I like their show because of the way that I want to orchestrate the show. And since they say they like working with me, they like the way I do stuff, I want to make this a reality. And I think that is something that you and I should try to capitalize on as well. Same thing that Tank, Genuine and Tyrese do. Same thing, same way that you were cutting up at the MPK, I'm gonna get you. Wait till you come to the next show. I'm gonna get you. I thought we was doing love songs only. All that kind of stuff. That's a part of our thing. All that. And the crowd was like, "Oh snap!" They didn't know you were gonna say that. They didn't know how you were gonna react. They didn't know how I was gonna respond.
Right.
So the graciousness, the antagonizing of one another, the fun play, whatever you call it, So, but yeah, man, I think that helps, especially for our audiences, and why I say that is because, okay, fine, we're not household names. We're known, not as well as we could be or that we would like to be, but I think even at this stage, there is a possibility of kicking up some dirt, kicking up some dust.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I don't mind my shoes getting dirty. I'm serious, man. What do I got to lose? What do we got to lose?
Nothing at all, man.
Worst thing can happen. Your new album, my new album can get traction we never knew we were going to get. And they were like, oh, snap. After that, worst thing can happen. Fine. Throw us in the run. Make us just songwriters. Fine. Let's do that. We can still do stuff on our own.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just excited about, the fact that we can still move around and we're creative, we're interested. And again, this is something I was talking about, what people don't know about the music business. People don't know how many thousands upon thousands of artists, I'm talking country, blues, jazz, pop, that do the same thing that you and I do, have done as long as we've done it, and still want to do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, there's a whole slew of artists and stuff that are still doing it, still working and stuff that are trying to get some recognition or get at least get heard,
Yeah. By all means. Yeah, I was hoping I could try to play a little snippet of one of my tracks, but I don't know if it's gonna come across well. I got some. I don't know if you can hear this.
It's cutting in and out.
Keep it right there. It's true. It's alive. Shining on the inside of me and you. I see it. I feel it. So I'm trying to hit that Will Downing audience, that Gregory Porter audience with this. I got a couple of tracks similar to that. And that's going to go on the album with a couple of other songs. A couple have been previously released. I guess I do need to do a video, but first things first, make sure the music's tight, and it should be pretty easy. But that's called You and Me.
Okay. All right. All right.
So, yeah, man. I mean, I'm still excited about the possibilities. Still excited, and I pray God allows it to come to fruition, any shape, form, or fashion. A little more than previous because we got more knowledge. We're still excited about it. We're still thriving to do it, to do better. So, folks, but if you're just jumping on, it's Carl T. Smith, and I'm Sir Charles Carey, and we've been talking about things that people don't know that happen kind of behind the scenes with artists and people in the music industry, from, what do you do before show, how it helps when you engage an audience, or how it hurts when you don't engage your audience, or when the audience doesn't respond to you, why bands make it or artists make it, why some don't. We talked about a few different things, but you can check out the YouTube page for different conversations, not only with Carl and I, but Carl, myself, and a plethora of artists and innovators and creatives that actually do what they do because they're entrepreneurs in their own right, from authors to singers to musicians, DJs, rappers. I mean, you name it, they've come across this platform, and we've had the opportunity of sharing with them. So with that being said, you guys let us know what you think, and please post your comments. We will get back to you because we're curious about what you think. We want to know how you receive us, and you know, what your likes and what your dislikes are. So yeah. Any closing comments, Carl?
No, I think you kind of hit on most of the stuff. I just say stay tuned because we're about to do some stuff. Got some things that we want to do, and want to make sure that you get in there and make sure that you're aware of the stuff. So, matter of fact, if you join the mailing list, join my mailing list, smooth with the #1.com, get on that mailing list, and Sir Charles Carries get on his, and this way you'll know.
In
all
fact,
the stuff that
if you respond to some of the comments, we'll respond back. Just ask your questions, make your statements. You agree, you don't agree. If you're an artist, please, we'd love to engage you. If you want to be on the show, let us know. We'd love to have you discuss this, that, and the third, right? So with that being said, until next.
Yeah.
You're sexy, so good to me.